Hey, Roger. How have you been?
My usual issues. But I'm good. How are you?
Good. Finally feeling better. Was sick for a few weeks.
Oh, good. Glad to hear it. Hey, you go.
Oh, looks like Igor is a little frozen. James should be here in a minute. He was in the last meeting.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yep. There's two of you now.
Yeah, I need to reconnect to give the microphone permissions. Hey James.
Why is Google Meet now telling me this meeting isn't open and I need to admit people? Google Meet changes every week. Okay, I think we've got some agenda items that Christian raised earlier today.
James, are you going to run today's meeting?
Sure. I actually forgot our repo name for where we put those items. Org. All right, TSC, added agenda. Did the PR get merged? No. That's fine. We can just talk about it here. View file. Share screen. We have almost everybody. RL is not here. Does anyone know where RL is? Nope. Given circumstances in Tel Aviv, I assume we shouldn't really require him today. All right, cool. First topic to discuss is moving Larry over from contributor to maintainer. Larry's been a contributor for a while, and our current governance is quite clear about promoting someone from a random person to a contributor. But we have nothing really in our governance to say that someone goes from a contributor to a maintainer, and we don't differentiate the two differently, apart from being GitHub groups and accesses that we give those people. I would just like to put forward that Larry's been here a while, is currently employed full-time as far as I'm aware. So
as of yesterday.
Oh, congratulations. So, can we just do a quick vote, thumbs up, thumbs down for Larry becoming a maintainer, and I will go and do all of the paperwork afterwards. Thumbs up from everybody. All right, unanimous. Congratulations, Larry. I will do my best to get everything done tomorrow. We will get you signed up for all the Linux Foundation things, and we made a list and talked about it in Slack, right? So,
yep. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
So all your work on Azure provider is least we can do.
I should hope not to rest on my laurels that that's all I'm known for.
The backend, yeah, right? Not the provider.
No, backend, yeah. Even worse, yeah.
All right. I'm going to hand over to Christian to discuss the provider hashing RFC.
All right. My plan is not to go over this in gross detail during this meeting slot. This was more so, this has been bopping around for a little while. There's a number of issues that have kind of tied into it. I've linked to a few up top. There's a couple linked throughout this. If you have strong feelings on improving the workflow of Tofu Init and reducing the amount of times people have to mess around with Tofu provider Slack, take a look at this. This morphed into 3 separate proposals, one big one and a couple smaller tweaks, with some really good feedback from other maintainers, from Yusuf, from Martin Atkins specifically as well. So once this is done, if this is done, again, it's still an RFC, but if something like this is done, 99 times out of 100, you won't ever have to really consider tofu provider's luck unless you're doing something really, really special. I know TerraGrunt is very excited about this. This proposal also means that if TerraGrunt did want to automatically write lock files, it would be able to pull both the zip hashes and the extracted installed hashes from the registry in one go and not have to rely on a third-party library for computing them. So there's a lot of cool stuff in here I think at least half of its background at this point, just because there's so many different interdependent systems. Again, thanking Martin Atkins for taking a couple hours the other day and helping me walk through all the different ways that people can shoot themselves in the foot using the different advanced provider options. But there's some pretty nice optimizations that we can get to with this. Would really appreciate your feedback on it, or at least just looking through and giving it a thumbs up, depending on how much time you have and how interested you are.
I think
I just wanted to give a big shout out to Christian. Like, great job putting this together, and I think it's definitely the kind of thing that's really productive to dedicate energy to. It's no opt-in required. Flat makes OpenTofu better than Terraform, and whenever we can get those wins, it's such a big deal to the product.
I was just going to say, I definitely think we should all, actually not all of us, because TerraGrunt isn't a tacos, but all the tacos individually should go and look at this as well, make sure it works for them. I think this will be a great thing for SpaceShift. I'm sure we all hit the issue of people wanting to regenerate providers log because they run things locally on their Mac and then they're running in a Linux worker. And this mitigates a lot of that issue. So please review it from those tacos points of view. Igor.
Yeah, on scale side, I can't be happier because this will allow us to remove the entire middleware layer from all our runners. Because we spend a lot of time around caching and not requiring downloading all the providers and stuff. And we already reviewed it. And I mean, the only wish we have is backported to every single version of OpenTofu. But yeah, that's just amazing work, and thank you very much. This is this sort of things is what we're super excited about and what will differentiate us, not us OpenTofu from Terraform greatly. Thank you.
Excited to work on it.
Sorry, I was muted. It would help if you could just put a very nice message on the RFC, if you could, Igor. Just, you don't have to go into details about
we'll do.
working.
Absolutely, cool. Yeah, we'll do.
Awesome. All right, anything more to discuss about this one? I think there's some comments from myself, Yusuf, and others going on.
Just quick one, semi-joke but not joke. I assume there's not lots of chances for it to be backported in older versions of OpenTofu, right?
I think code-wise, it's something that is we can do anything with the code theoretically, but in practice, between some unrelated changes to older versions, which would make it difficult, and the fact that we will need to be very clear on our upgrade. This is actually a note I should put in the RFC. Is that when this is released in OpenTofu, your lock files will become much bigger, and people will see changes in their existing lock files with new hashes being provided for the H1 hashes. So if I was in a patch version and I upgraded OpenTofu and saw a bunch of additional entries in my lock file, I'd be very confused and concerned as a user. So that's the main reason I think I'd hesitate on backporting this functionality.
It seems it seems a little bit odd to me that there's ambiguity here as to the decision. I think in general, whether or not to backport something, it frequently is a judgment call, and what is a breaking change or isn't is also a judgment call. but it might be helpful to have something documented that says, like, here's our criteria for when we backport, here's what we consider a breaking change and what we don't consider a breaking change. That might help to give some sort of structure to these decisions.
I have that document half written. I started it last week because we had the same discussion internally as maintainers about what do we pack for, when do we do it. I think our initial gut feeling right now is that we backport fixes for broken features that do not match documentation and match our bug triage process that we recently put online. And this is kind of like an additional feature. But what I will say is, I think this area of code in OpenTofu hasn't been touched in a while. Maintaining a fork of some old versions may not be too difficult if you want, Igor.
Yeah, it's just like it's such an impactful quality of life change, and still lots of people running like older versions of OpenTofu. And like I don't know, like I haven't checked the code itself, so like if it's just like a small refactoring, some additional code, like that's fine. But again, like it's your call. It's like semi joke, not joke. Just asking. Maybe not like all the way to 1.6, but maybe like 2 versions back or like 1 version back. Like anything helps. But it's definitely not a request. It's just like an ask, or like it's up to you guys.
It is something to consider because it is a pretty big improvement for a lot of tacos and other orchestration systems.
But we
Again,
let's document it, because we're opening
Yeah.
a floodgate here of, oh, do we backport a bunch of OTel stuff? Do we backport a bunch of the provider caching locking stuff? This really opens up a floodgate. So let's document this, discuss, and make a process.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to derail it, so.
Okay. Any last comments on this item before we move on to the next item? Nope. Christian, I believe you raised this process in lieu of Christian and James's attendance.
Mm-hmm. So as part of this PR, I went back through and found that we were missing a bunch of notes and agendas. And I've noticed that if James or I or both of us aren't around, the TSC meeting tends not to happen. And just kind of wanted to flag that as I want to make sure that's not just James and I taking notes, managing the recordings, doing that sort of thing. So is there a process we want to semi-formalize of whoever is running the meeting takes notes, manages the recording, and we choose before the end of the meeting who's going to do that next? That way they can be responsible for adding the new agenda, getting feedback on what should be discussed next time, and getting that ball rolling as like a rotating responsibility.
You muted, Sir Roger.
Roger, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I think it's probably come up a couple of times just generally amongst us around like what the process is. So tightening up with that, great. I think it was just I was out for at least one of those meetings. I think the last one was literally everybody was out apart from Yusef and myself. So we wouldn't have had quorum for anything. But yeah, I think more coincidence than anything. But maybe that process maybe still needed. Didn't, even just written up, no agenda, nobody to verify anything, and put that in the log. So yeah, if we add that in as well, possibly.
Yeah, I think given the option, I would happily not take notes. So if we could just have like a rotating list of just like note taker, person responsible for uploading the video or whatever. I don't even know how to access the recording of this call. So maybe also some documentation on how to do that. I'd be happy to be forced to do it when the call happens. And I think what Roger said regarding having a quorum, that's probably also something we should add to our process, that if we don't have a quorum to make decisions, we should not have the call.
Okay.
I do also want to call out that like we skipped a bunch of times around the holidays. That's probably why a lot of people were out.
I think so. Does it sound reasonable for me to put together a maybe not day-to-day, but like just general TSC meeting process as like an MD file, put it in the org, put all of our names in there as a rotating responsibility, and go from there?
Yeah, SOP. We should
Cool.
maybe like an SOP directory in this that just says like, here are our standard SOPs.
And can we automate the video upload?
I have no idea. It goes so. I don't think it matters that I share this. This is just standard Google Meet stuff.
It goes to a Google Drive, right? We can
Yeah.
let's discuss afterwards. But technically, technically we'll figure it out. But does anyone have anything against the idea of automatically uploading them to YouTube?
We're usually pretty good about understanding this as a public meeting.
Okay.
And who has the access to the YouTube channel? Okay.
Yeah,
So we probably want to make sure we also have access to the YouTube channel. If somebody does accidentally, leak some information or something, that we have the opportunity to address that. And that includes like external folks, I guess, if they hop onto the call.
It should be through our Google Workspace, so I think Igor should have super cow powers there as well.
I can check if you will tell me where to check because I've never used it.
I don't believe it is.
Yep.
For historical reasons. I think when we first made the project, someone name squatted the OpenTofu user and then they gave it to us. So anyway, we can discuss afterwards technical details. Okay, that's all of the items on the agenda. Does anyone have anything else they would like to discuss?
Just one small item about like agenda and notes. Is it like a requirement to actually post notes, or like, let's say, only post decisions would be okay?
I think I'd have to take a look at our governance doc. We do have some idea there of like what the minimum we can put there is.
I'm just like not sure that like I don't want to do something that like nobody really cares or need it, or just like some extra work just because we used to do it.
It might be a Linux Foundation requirement.
Yeah, this is my ask very much. Is it like requirement or option? Because like, yeah.
Usually we keep it pretty light. James, can you go back to the pull request that's open? Because I'm actually going to be looking for volunteers to help with some of this.
You just want to look at one of the other notes.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
So it's the form it usually takes is who is there, are there any decisions / big topics. I think this is, for me, this kind of serves as an index of I can rep for something and then I can go watch the video for the context. Like that one's fairly detailed, but honestly, even just the bullet points would be fine for me.
There we go. Super simple. Yeah. I'll look into if it's a Linux Foundation requirement, though. I think Larry might be right on that one.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. I just wanted to mention KubeCon is coming up in 2.5 weeks. So if you're there, that's cool. Let's meet up. If not, we'll have an OpenTofu day as per usual. I think all of the talks are available online and will be recorded. Does anyone have anything they want to pre-organize or discuss for KubeCon, or nope? Awesome. I think we're done. I think Roger had an item he wanted to discuss in an unrecorded situation.
It's a minor one, but yeah, if possible.
This just, we can cancel the recording, but then we can finish here. So goodbye YouTube, and then is it a legal matter because this meeting is still open to the public, so I should close it down.
Let's first these, and then let's discuss these matters.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
Goodbye.
Who wants to restart it?
I think I got full access.